1 minute. Yes, he is. Let's see. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem Synagogue here in Montgomery, Alabama. I am Rabbi Scott Kramer. Welcome to those in our sanctuary and online. Welcome Emily, Yvette, and Irene. And we are praying out of Sidor Lev Shalem. And we will begin on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we continue page 11 with Psalm 95. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzur Yishenu, Nekadma Fana B'toda. Naria, Naria, Letzur Yishenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Alechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Nekadma Fana B'toda. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Please join me in the English. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted, like the people at Meribah, like the time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way, so in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. 40 shana kut bedor va'omaram to'eh levavim vehem lo yadid rachai asher nishpati v'api im yavaun el menuchati. Page 13, Psalm 96. Shiru ladonai shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz, shiru ladonai baruch shemaho, basru meyam leyam yeshuato, sapru vagoyim kevodo, bechol amim nifliotav, ki gadol Adonai, o meholal miyod. No Rahu, Alko Elohim, la, Kiko Elohe, Ha'amim Elilim, Vadonai Shamayim Asap, Hod Vehadar Lefanav, Osvetiferet B'mikdasho, Havu Ladonai, Mishpachot Hamim, Havu Ladonai, Kavod Vos, Havu Ladonai, Kevod Shemo, Seu Mincha, Uvo Lechatzrot of Laila, Shtachavu Ladonai, Behadrat Kodesh, Chilu Mipanav Kol Ares, Imru Vagoyim, Adonai Malach, Avtikum Tevel Balatimot, Yadina Amin Beme Sharim, Yismechu Hashamayim Vetagil Haaretz, Ayir Amayamu Melo, Yalo Sadai, Vechol asher bo lai, az yiranenu kol hatziyar, lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, lishpot tevel betzedek, ve'yamim bemu nato, yalai la la la, yai la 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 la, yai la la la, yalai la 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 la, la 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 la. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, lai. I pardon me for my coughing. I developed this in the last couple weeks. Can't shake it. We continue page 15 with Psalm 97. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, the many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine. Righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. Flashes of lightning illumine the land. The earth watches and trembles. Mountains melt like wax at the approach of Adonai, at the approach of the Master of all the earth. The heavens tell of God's righteousness, and all the nations see God's glory. Worshippers of idols be shamed for praising false gods. All that is deemed supreme bow before God. Zion hears of it and rejoices. The cities of Judah exult as you, Adonai, pass judgment. You, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. Or zarula tzadik v'lishrolev simcha, simchu tzadikim badunai, v'hoduhu lezecher kadeshom. Page 17, Psalm 98. המזמור שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע לו ימינו, וזרוע כהודשו הודיע, אדוני ישועתו, לעין הגויים גילת צדקתו, זכר חסדו ואמונתו, לבית ישראל ראו כל אפסי הארץ, את ישועת אלוהינו, הוריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, פצחום ורננו וזמרו, זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצות שרות וכל שופר, הוריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביה, נהרות ימחאו כף, יחד הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיבה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים, ילי ללי ללי ללי, ילי ללי ללי, ילי ללי ללי ללי, ילי ללי ללי, ילי ללי ללי, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Psalm 99, page 19. Adonai reigns, nations tremble, the one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, awe-inspiring Holy One, a sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai our God, bow down before God the Holy One. Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name, called to you and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. You answered them, Adonai our God. You are a forgiving God to them, even as you punish them for their transgressions. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu la'ar kadesho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Page 21. We rise for Psalm 29. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod vos, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el kavod yirim Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, kol Adonai behadar, kol Adonai shover arazim, vayishabech Adonai et al zeyal vanon, vayarkidem kemo egel, Lebanon v'Sirion kemo vendrehemim, kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yecholel ayalot, vayechesop yahod, uvehechalo kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabul yashav, yeshev Adonai melech le'olam, Adonai uz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. You may be seated. We continue with Lecha Dodi, page 23. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu elam yuchad, Adonai echad, Ushamo echad, L'shem ul tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela lekrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha כי מקור הבראכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה קומי צאי מתוך ההפיכה רב לך שבט בימי קבחה ויחמו עלייך חמלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התנערי מעפר קומי לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי היד בן ישי בית הלחמי קרבה אל נפשי גאה לה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי kiva ore kumi ori 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 shir daberi kivod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi leikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi leikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela lo tevoshi v'lo tikami ma tishtochachi u'ma tehemi bach yechasu ani eyami v'nivneta ir al tila lecha dodi leikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela v'hayulim shisa shahu esayich v'rachaku ko mihiv alayich yasis alayich Elohayich kim chas chatan al kala lecha dodi leikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela yamin usma tifrotzi v'yet Adonai taritzi ayadish ben parzi v'nismecha v'nagila lecha dodi leikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. We rise for the last stanza, page 25. We face towards the entrance, we face towards the west to greet the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uvetzala toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi leikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. We continue, page 27. Mizmor Shir Le'yom HaShabbat. Tov lahodot l'Adonai. Tov lahodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lahodot l'Adonai. Tov lahodot l'Adonai. Tov lahodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lahodot l'Adonai. Lehagid baboker chastecha. Lehagid baboker chastecha. Ve'emunatcha baleilot, ve'emunatcha baleilot. Tov lodot l'Adonai. Lehagid baboker chastecha. Lehagid baboker chastecha. Ve'emunatcha baleilot, ve'emunatcha baleilot. Tov lodot l'Adonai. Page 28. Tzadika tamar yifrach ki erez balvanon yizke shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim yeyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatabo. Page 29, Psalm 93. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you are enthroned, you are eternal. The rivers rise up, Adonai. The rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves. Above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean, Adonai stands supreme in the heavens. In your house, beautiful in its holiness, your testimonies endure, Adonai, for all time. Again, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for joining me both online, and we have 4 intrepid travelers that are in our sanctuary, not believing that the storm is going to be much. Tina and David apparently are stuck on 65 behind a wreck. So they are listening to services in their car, truly mobile. And so welcome to everyone, and welcome to you in the sanctuary. It's nice to see actual human faces. I thought about, I didn't think of it too early enough, but what I was going to do is get pictures of my congregants, blow them up, put them on little stick figures, and put them in the seats, so I can remember what my congregants look like. Somebody gave me that idea, and it was like, okay, I should have thought of that a long time ago. I think they did that at NFL games last year. They put little stick figures of people. This week's Torah portion climaxes the action of the last 2 portions. It began with Joseph's self-centered dreams that resulted in his brothers selling him into Egypt as a slave. Can you imagine? That's what dreams leads to. Through a series of events, first down and then up, Joseph came into his own and rose from the depths of prison to become Pharaoh's second in command. In this position, Joseph was in the right place at the right time to save his family from a devastating 7-year famine. After the brotherly reconciliation, Jacob moved the entire clan to Egypt, 70 in number, to join Joseph and his 2 sons. In our portion, Vayigash, in Genesis 46:47, it says, Uvnei Yosef asher yulad lo, v'mitzrayim nefesh shnayim kol nefesh, leveit Yaakov haba'ah mitzrayim shiv'im. And Joseph's sons who were born to him in Egypt were 2 in number. Thus the total of Jacob's household who came to Egypt was 70 persons or souls. Here the Hebrew word for souls is written in the singular, nefesh. The plural form for souls, nefashot, would have made the English translation much more sense. But the divine author of the Torah was trying to make a point. With Esau, in contrast, Jacob's brother, where there were 6 people, the Torah refers to them as 6 souls, using the plural nefashot. Rashi, our medieval French biblical commentator, asks, why this difference? Why use soul in a place where souls would make more sense, when in another case that is exactly what we find? Rashi says that the answer is that there are many times when Jews are required to form a quorum of some type. 10 for a prayer quorum, 3 for a quorum to say Birkat HaMazon, the grace after meals, 3 rabbis for a Beit Din, etc. Jews are held responsible for one another's actions, for as it says in the Talmud, Kol Yisrael Averim Zeh Bazeh. All of Israel are responsible for one another. The Torah thus wrote the word nefesh, for all of Israel are a single soul, as it were. But this is not true for Esau, where no one is responsible for another, or is to blame if another sins. Each person is separate from every other. Therefore, there in the case of Esau, the Torah wrote nefashot. I find great comfort when Jews come together to worship, as opposed to praying by myself. The community aspect of joining together to give thanks, to pour out our heart and soul to God, is soothing and hopeful. All Israel is responsible for one another. When I was in rabbinical school in Los Angeles at Ziegler, Irene and I lived in Valley Village, within walking distance of Adat Ariel, where they had daily minyanim twice a day, morning and evening. I had not lived in a community like this since I left Baltimore, and was overwhelmed by the Jewish opportunities. Whenever I think back on our stay in Valley Village, it is those minyans that I used to attend, making friends with actors and janitors alike. I literally felt like we were all taking care of each other, if not physically, then spiritually. Even here in Montgomery, I find that there is great community of Jews here. Some places where Jews come together to pray, it doesn't feel warm, and there doesn't seem to be continuity or togetherness. Some of them are places that I have traveled to and prayed in, but Montgomery is different. And I thank God every day that Irene and I wound up here and were adopted into this great Jewish family. Shabbat Shalom. Get this out of my system, I hope. We now continue with Aravit, our evening service, page 39a. Please rise for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Avoed. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rose light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night, Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. Umahavir yom umevi laila, mavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai Tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayim tamid yimloch aleinu lam v'ohed baruch atah Adonai. Hamari v'aravim, page 40. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amchavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם מנהגה יומם ולילה, ויעבדך תשיא ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachpecha v'kumecha u'kshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'ninecha u'chtavtam nam zuzot beitecha ובשעריך והיה אם שמוע תשמעו מצוות אשר אנוכי מצוותיכם היום יעבר את אדוני אלוהיכם לעבדו. Vayomer Adonai Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'yamarta lehem v'yasu lehem tzitzit al kanfei v'gdehem ledoratam v'natnu al tzitzit akana patil techelet v'yalachem letzitzit oritem oto u'zchartem net kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam V'lo tatu acharei levavachem v'acharei nechem asher tem zonim achareihem leman dizgaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kadoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etachem me'eretz Mitzrayim leot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 43b. You proclaimed the covenant on the seventh day. You declared it and decreed it. We listened and heard it. You loved this day. We inherited, delighting in its remembrance, and began its command with the word, remember, Zachor. From the time you bestowed it, joy filled the hearts of Jeshurun, the people you redeemed, securing the cause of righteousness. You exalted Shabbat as a sign between us forever. In 6 days your world was formed, and on the seventh day you rested. And on this day, Israel, your people rest. To honor your name, they sing songs of praise to the one deserving of praise. Page 44. U'malchuto b'ratzon ki b'aleihem Moshe u'vnei Yisrael neshira בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדור בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה מלכותך ובניך בו קיים לפני משה זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלות מי את חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל page 45 השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו שלום אמן ושמוצאתנו בין לחיים ושלומי אתה ויד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים page 46 we rise for Vishamro ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית olam. We remain standing for the silent Amidah for Friday night, pages 47 through 52. מודים אנחנו לך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol eit uvechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. And let's see. Yes. And we remain standing for Kiddush, page 55. It's been quite a while since I've done Kiddush in a service, but since our people here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadisho b'yavahu v'ratzanin chilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrahei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'yava uvratzonim chaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And we remain standing as the ark is open for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotzer bereshit shalo asan kagoye aratzot v'lo samadu kamishmachot adama shalo sam chelkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu She'un notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz Moshe v'yikaro b'shamayim mira'al U'shchinatu zo b'gove meromim Hu Eloheinu eino emet malkeinu evezulato kakatu b'torato V'yadat Ahayem v'hashivota elevavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'yal haaretz mi tachat ein od al kein Gagadu b'toratech Adonai imloch le'olam voed v'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayoma hu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You may be seated. I'm so sorry. This week we will observe, got to get the right page first. We will be observing yard sites for Ida Kishner, Minnie Siegel, Isaac Schwartz, Ben Sharker, Yechiel Mandelbaum, Jerry McManama, Regina Mandel Miller, Oscar Schoenbaum, Abraham Wasserman, Maurice Red Bell, Sophie Oshry, Elias Rosen, Fanny Schulwolf, Pearl E. Toronto, Rose S. Horn, and Jenny Saldinger. And we unfortunately add one to this list, Rick Goldstein, who passed away this past week, the husband of Lisa Goldstein, and his son, Spencer Goldstein. So we wish condolences, we offer condolences to the Goldstein family. Those observing yahrzeit and those who mourn, please rise. Page 56, gotta get the right page. Page 58 for the Kaddish Tome, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, b'yoma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv yimaru amen, yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umel maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei Gudisha b'richu. Lailam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'yoma v'yimaru amen, yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. You may be seated. Thank you for joining me. It's so nice to see. Now we're at a mighty 7, and I guess the wreck on 65 was cleared up. So thank you. I'm glad to see all of you in the flesh, actually breathing. It's been 17 months since we were officially open. We tried it in July for about 3 weeks. That didn't take. Hopefully this one we're not going to go back. We're going to be hybrid from this point on. I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't in this big sanctuary where we can spread out. So I invite all of you to join me again tomorrow morning at 9:30 for our continuation of Shabbat services, and tomorrow night via Zoom. I invite you to enjoy the Alabama Community Virtual Havdalah group that sings and offers words of Torah every Saturday night at 7 p.m. And so I invite you, if you did not get the link, please email me, rabbi@agudathmontgomery.com. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Maybe I should check ravmalki@gmail.com. That's a lot easier. ravmalki@gmail. I'm going to start saying that from now on. Anyway, email me and I'll get you the link for that service. I want to let everybody know, if you didn't, I don't know if the December bulletin was emailed or it was. Okay. Well, anyway, on page 3, you will notice there is something coming up called the Southern Shabbat Shmooze. There's a whole ad here. This is going to be February 4th to 6th. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a weekend at Camp Ramah Darom in Clayton, Georgia. It's in the northern mountains of Georgia, about an hour and a half north of Atlanta. We participated in this March of 2020, right before we shut down. And it was the funnest weekend. We were there there was 35 of us. We were there with a community in Chattanooga, a conservative congregation in Chattanooga. We had a fun weekend. The food is phenomenal at Ramah. We did karaoke on Saturday night after Havdalah. We had a bonfire actually for Havdalah. Anyway, February 4th to 6th, we're doing it again, but this time we not only have the community, our community and the one in Chattanooga, but also the Jewish community in Greensboro, North Carolina is going to be joining, and the Jewish Federation of Greensboro, North Carolina. Right now, I met with the group yesterday. Right now we have 45 people signed up, and none of the other synagogues except for ours has anybody signed up. So that means we're going to have a lot more than 45. They're also inviting the board members and their families of Ramat Darom. Gerald is being very, very gracious and making this weekend absolutely affordable. First of all, Ramat has reduced the cost. Usually it's $300 a person. They've reduced it to $175 a person. And through the generosity of the Leibovitz Scholarship Fund, that is cut in half because they're providing a subsidy for everybody, but not based on need. So it's $85 a person for the whole weekend. And you can't beat that. You cannot beat that. And let me give you another enticement. We're not sure yet, but they're trying to book Joe Buchanan for the weekend. And now I'll give you a real reason you want to come. Toria Stark and Carl Sayers are going to be there that weekend as well. So it is going to be a talent-packed weekend. So Irina's going, Adina's going. I know Tina and David. David, you're committed to going. Yep. So on this page, you'll see ramaddarom.org/schmooze. That's where you go to register. Okay? And the discount code is also on the page. You need to have that so you can get half off. And if you have any questions, please call me. If you would like to go and you think you still can't really afford it, please call me. We have some attendees at the Schmooze that have offered to help anybody. So really, there's no reason why you can't all go. Matt, you can go. You want to come? No? There's going to be a lot of kids there. You've been to Ramat Darom. It's fun. Anyway, so I hope you all will, after Shabbat, go ahead and sign up. It's going to be a really, really fun weekend. Notice we have a new synagogue. Our kitchen is almost done. We're promised that after the first of the year, we'll be able to have food again, hopefully. And we have, currently we're scheduled, depending on what this new virus is going to do, we have two groups visiting Montgomery in March, a 200-person group from El Toledo High School in Los Angeles. It's a Jewish day school. And then later on, 2 weeks later, we have another group coming in from Kansas City, from a Jewish day school. So we're going to have a lot of visitors, I think, once this pandemic is really over. I hope it really is over. Anyway, let's see. Did I miss any announcements? I don't think so. But I'll hear about it if I did. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and conclude our service, page 211, with Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'yachare kichlota kol levado yimloch nora Adon Olam v'huaya v'huove v'huye b'tifara Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefso kol hazay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'hu echad v'yein sheni laham shelo lahachbira Adon Olam b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo misra adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra liyet nasa v'chefso kol hazai melech shemo nikra adon olam v'hu eli v'chai goali v'tzorchev li b'yetzara adon olam v'hu nisi umanosli minat kosi b'yom ekra adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra litnasa v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra adon olam biyado afkid ruchi biyetishan v'yaira adon olam v'maruchi Kiviyati Adon Oli V'lo Ira Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Liyet Nasa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. One extra, I forgot one thing. 2 weeks from tomorrow, okay, I think that's December 25th, Torah and Carl will be here co-leading services with me in this very sanctuary. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Shabbat Shalom.